Hello and welcome to Eat Your Backyard, my YouTube channel where I talk about all kinds of edible things, tropical plants that I'm into, also permaculture. And what we're looking at are our sweet little hens enjoying the cooler fall temperatures here on my little tropical island in Central Florida. What a beautiful morning it is, filled with possibility. I hope yours is also filled with possibility. You see, I'm sure it is. This is a Kefir Lime tree, which I recently decided to bend to my will, to stand up and make it grow straight up. And I'm glad I did it. And just like anything, when you make a change, this thing was growing this way and had potential, has potential, but if not guided correctly, it really just starts to look like a mess. I love the Zen flow of helping these plants flow to the places I want them to be. And of course, when I first tied it to this really cool pole, I'm a big proponent of these poles. They cost me about 10 bucks at Lowe's. Just a fiberglass pole. About a 6-foot fiberglass pole. I would have liked it to be a little longer, to be honest, but oh, look at that. See this, the leaves just kind of fall off. Sometimes that happens, certainly in my yard with citrus, and I do believe it has a lot to do with the saltiness in the irrigation. That's helped also by getting this thing standing straight up, which is that it's up away from the sprinklers a little bit more. So it was kind of wilting after initially being tied up, and now it is certainly reorienting the position of these leaves to get the sun. Very happy about that because I'm adding to this area. I recently purchased many things, and before we talk about that though, is there anything more kind of serene than watching a sweet little hen just get relaxed near you? These hens on purpose pick the place closest to us. Really cool, just sitting there and cooing in the wind, the ocean breezes. But one of the things I bought was this Cheremoya tree. I'm very excited about that. That's a healthy specimen in my opinion. And I don't know if it's got a chance to survive, but we're going for it. Put the chips on the table. $40 tropical tree. I thought that was a pretty good deal for a specimen like this. I think I got it at Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those places. But anyway, this time of year, I like to shuttle around between all these different chain stores and see what deals I can find. Recommend you do the same. The supply of fruit trees has been really affected by circumstances, the supply chain being one of them, but also the freeze in Texas being a big draw on fruit trees, people replacing their fruit trees, so a lot of demand there. A lot of reasons why you might have a tough time finding a fruit tree, but you know, luck of the draw is really a thing I like to do, which is look around. And sometimes, you know, even though the nurseries will typically have a much broader variety of plants to choose from, you can find some gems. You really can. I got soursops recently for $13 a tree. Some beautiful varieties of blackberries for $6 a pot. Nice, healthy bushes look like, mostly. Seen the bananas, decent prices around. So there are things, certainly. And if you know what to look for, you can find them. And I can't wait to plant this Cheremoya, but I'm very concerned about what effect the salty irrigation will have on it. Always a factor in my yard. You know, probably not in yours if you don't live in a place that has salty irrigation and salty wind. You know, we have the double. You might have salty irrigation, but to have it also in the wind is something that we deal with here. But this strata of my food forest, my yard, is protected from the lower sprinklers and then the winds that blow up high here. And you can see what we like to do is have nice open spaces through these trees. And that's because if you can imagine a 100-mile-an-hour wind blowing through here, that's what you would want, the place for the wind to get through. Not that I anticipate it being 100-mile-an-hour winds anytime soon, but you never know. We've got actually a small disturbance right there off the coast of the Bahamas that is getting ready to move directly out in front of the Florida Peninsula, and that could turn into just about anything. But it could get what's a more typical situation than an extreme wind event, like I just alluded to, would be a I was distracted by the wasps flying around that banana flower. Go check that out in a sec. Would be a wind event that just was moderate winds, moderately heavy winds, say in the 20 to 30, maybe up into the 40 to 50 range for a period of time, for some sustained period of time. And I almost think that kind of wind is more torturous than just get it over with, the big wapow of a heavy wind event. But, it's certainly more typical that could happen, and everything just kind of gets shredded and beaten to death by heavy winds and salt spray and all that. And, that's the process of rejuvenation, certainly not complaining at all, just saying we've got to cope for that. But even during those times, this little zone in here can be my little garden of EYBY, is what I call it, the garden of EYBY. It's just my little kind of spot sheltered by these massive Dracaena shrubs, which will take the hit every time from the eastern winds, and thriving. I mean, this yard is absolutely thriving. I'm going to show you the Magic Factory here in a second, and if you don't know what the Magic Factory is, you'll know here shortly. But how the magic can happen and how I can provide enough nutrients to these plants that, despite the factors which might be at play in the yard, any counter forces that might be at play, like salty winds, salt in the irrigation, dry conditions, over water conditions, I can mitigate all those and get it right dialed into the zone. I can give it enough nutrients. It kickstarts the whole system. And what I'm really doing is building up a momentum in my yard, an organic momentum in my yard that will then just kind of carry itself along. Okay, let's go in the Magic Factory. This is it. Look what we have here. Just look at this. There should be angels and trumpets and so on playing, but I don't have the sound effects. This is the deal, folks. This is the product of a couple key systems in my yard that serve me tremendously and produce this, which is the gold of permaculture. If I had a bucket of biochar next to it, we would have the full spread, which is bunny manure, cold, high nutrient dense bunny manure. Put that straight. I'll tell you what where all this stuff is destined for here in a moment, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about the worm farm, which digests and produces these. Yeah, so the bunny manure, cold manure, super top quality. That comes from my bunny manure system, which is also a cute Zen bunny pet system. These bunnies are awesome. The worm tea system, which is coming from this fine little system that we built not that long ago, but works really, really well. And I had that produce 2 containers of the worm tea, which I'll restore the natural soil situation where I'm going to put it. And then the third thing I would like to add to this would be all these branches, which you kind of have to look behind this pile now, but these branches, which I continue to stack up, which I'll burn, create that biochar. And then I might even do like the old David the Good does. By the way, shout out to David the Good. It is true, folks. He is good. One of the things that David the Good likes to do that I think is really cool is mix in the biochar with the worm tea. cocktail for the ages. And I might also mix in a little bit of that bunny manure with the worm tea and the biochar, and you know, that's the magical elixir of all plants and all things that we want to grow. Super simple. Look at how friendly this is for that's what bunny turds get you. Look at that. You know, there's some pieces like the bigger, yes, we're looking at poo. There's some pieces that have kind of, you know, they got some rainwater on them, and I separate those out and actually put them into the worm farm, those bigger pieces. But most of it is that dried, perfectly dried, round. You can actually put this in a fertilizer spreader and just spread it on your lawn. No more Scott's Bonus S in my life. No more yard fertilizer. No more things will I put into my system that say kills, unless I absolutely have to, because you know, that lawn fertilizer, it's got herbicides in it, man. We don't have time for that. Herbicides, because you know what? The herbicides are going to end up in our little chickie eggs. Okay, so where I'm going to put this prime nutrients, the bunny turds and the worm tea, is in my new banana grove, which I finished planting last night. We can go take a quick look at that. And then I had a bit of a small situation here where I was harvesting I harvested 2 big branches from this longan tree in order to, you can see they're down here, but pretty big branches, and I'm stoked about that because all this, the leaves will dry and fall off. I'm going to use them all in the chicken coop and into the compost bins, and then the branches I'll use for edging. We've got some big ones. Maybe I'll even make a natural chicken roost out of one of them. You know, I like the ones that have the high things. The chickens love to get up on them if you can make little play areas. So I might use some of that, but stoked about that resource happening. But the problem is when I removed it from the canopy, it came down right on top of one banana that I had not planted yet and one I had already planted, which, you know, might make you think, well, why didn't you just move? Yeah, well, I didn't think of it. So here's what it did. It broke the banana leaves, these beautiful banana leaves. Well, that was kind of heartbreaking in a way, but whatever. What I found is these things, despite the fact that they get bent over, they do still function for the banana itself and may actually give it a little bit of an incentive to jump up. I'm certainly going to do a few more things before I'm done here. You can see the natural soil of my yard is sand, right? It's got some organic matter mixed in there, but one of the things I'm going to do is, I've done it to this one, is I just put regular old good potting soil. Okay, we're back. For some reason my Wi-Fi, no, it wasn't my Wi-Fi, it was the wireless up to the cell tower. Hey Camel, I just got bumped off my connection to the satellites, so I had to go back with my local Wi-Fi. But anyway, I was over by those bananas. Yeah, so there's a couple more things that I'm going to do just to close that area out. Even though they're damaged, they'll come back, no problem. I'm going to finish with the potting soil along the top, give it the bunny turds, give it the worm tea. Then I'm going to put a layer of wood chips around them and on top of them, and stay on top of the, hey Candy Wallace, morning and cheers to you too. Yes, I must find my coffee substitute. You know, normally I like to have coffee for the coffee chat, and I did have coffee for the coffee chat, but I consumed it all. So now I'm down to sparkling mineral water. But those bananas will pop back, and once I put that top layer of potting soil on top, and then the mulch and the bunny turds and the worm tea, it'll jump up like you won't believe and be looking like really the rest of the banana grove in no time. And this is a banana grove in the making. Pretty big one, actually, the scale of what I've done. Yeah, we're growing like crazy. If you want more, plant more. Abundance is right under your feet. Look at this. I got a postage stamp sized yard, and it is cranking out food. It's in the process of leveling up big time. I mean, I'm in the process now of actively graduating it to a full food system that's capable of, you know, really being a super meaningful part of my life. It's already a super meaningful part of my life, but, you know, the things that I've added to it recently have just turbocharged it like I couldn't imagine. Oh, the flowers make good tea. Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to harvesting those bananas which are up there. I watch them every day. If you watch the channel a lot, you know they're keeping a close eye on this particular banana tree. This is the syndrome of having a new grove, and you know, I was in this position where I was getting 2 to 3 trees worth of bananas a month most of the time, and now I've had to rearrange all that because I put in the chicken system, but chicken coop and area, but now it's starting to come back. But we get a thing where we're focused on one, which is typically not where you want to be. You want to have, in my opinion, you've got a banana grove, you want to have bananas coming in a lot. You want to have a banana system. I recently made a video, by the way, about how to do that. All my advice, for what it's worth, my experience. Walked through it. Even talked about this area a little bit in the video, but go check that out if you're interested. I'm also leveling up the quality of the longer form videos that I put out on the channel, making videos within a new series that I've called Installing Food Systems in Your Yard, in your backyard, installing food systems. And I believe you can look at it that way and eat the elephant one bite at a time, so to speak, to get to a state where you have healthy, nutritious food coming into your situation all the time. Yeah, camel. You got to cut the banana leaves off in the winter. Holy moly. Yeah, that is radical, but that's cool, actually. Really cool to adapt to that level. I mean, when you think about it. Hey, Brampton Gardener. How you doing? I was actually going to watch your the video on your channel that you had, the recent one that you released, and decided to come out here. Good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, so I'm really just, I'd say, a year out from having this system have enough momentum in it to produce enough food that we could actually live off the food in our backyard, which is a cool, pragmatic thing to achieve. The huckleberries, yes, the huckleberries, absolutely. I wish I had some huckleberry bushes. Gooseberries, blackberries, raspberries. These are all things from my youth. I grew up on a very, I would say, awesome little farm as a kid. And my grandfather, who was the primary farming guru, who farmed probably about 200 acres, had corn, wheat, all kinds of things. He had every type of berry and fruit tree and grapes and all of that in his yard, in his area. Plum trees galore, apple trees, peaches, nectarines. So you can see where I get my influence, but I miss the types of berries that you could grow. That was in New Jersey, which is the Garden State, despite what you might think as you drive through some areas. It's almost 100% paved over, but underneath that, wow, a lot of incredible farmland. Which goes to say, if you live in a place like New Jersey, you might have the most killer situation for growing stuff you can imagine right under your housing development. Yeah, Camel, thanks for the compliment. You're saying maybe add some more flowering plants. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I love the flowering plants. This is an interesting flowering plant, which is the Dracaena fragrans, really common house plant. You know, from the channel, I'm really a nut about growing Dracaenas. They just are so functional. They're such a leather-leafed wonder here on the Barrier Island. We've got a decent blow going on right now, maybe 10 to 15 miles an hour. Not heavy, just light sea breeze, but you can see in that condition, even though it's a little bit windy, here, 5 blocks from the ocean, we're not experiencing a lot of breeze, which is why these banana leaves don't perpetually look shredded. So you can see that papaya. Yeah, and some of these plants, like this giant Hawaiian papaya, it's so vigorous that even as it gets ravaged by winds, it just grows back so quickly that it's like 2 weeks later, it's back to normal. The speed of growth and the speed of decay in the subtropics and the tropics is, greatly increased from places with seasons, I would believe. It's a little slower pace. But here, yeah, especially in this environment where there's so many corrosive elements, here you could have if you bought a grill, let's say a typical $100 grill, brought it home, you could expect that to last for maybe 2 to 4 years before it starts to absolutely turn to dust. It's because of all the salt in the air. Coats everything, affects everything. But in terms of an effect on my life, I think it's incredible. I love I almost feel as if the effect of salt is therapeutic in some way. I spend a lot of time in the ocean surfing, swimming, diving, fishing, boating. And to me, it's like a therapy. I mean, I'm drawn to it intrinsically. But yeah, the backyard banana grove, south end banana grove is certainly going off. And we got the dwarf Cavendish along this side, the eastern wall. Perfect, won't block the sun. And by the way, I may purchase 2 more. And the reason is this area can sustain that many, and if you plant them all at the same time, the same size, they will all be touching the sun. And this is another important little, nuance on banana groves, and I think fruit trees in general, which is to get them all, if you can, at about the same size and keep their height about at the same height. That way they all get access. I do a lot of canopy management because this area is so small. And you get good at it. It's really cool. I mean, it's like making an art project all the time with the way you let sun through to the living machines beneath it. Brampton Gardner, lived in Florida for 3 years and then left. Tragedy. Miss it. Yeah, you got to get back. Get back to the sunny side. There sure are plenty of people moving to Florida. I've never seen more cars, people, out-of-state plates. I mean, it is crazy how many. Moved to Canada for love. That's a good trade. I think it's a good trade. Canada seems like a pretty cool place. Like literally, but also the people are nice. There's a niceness thing. That can all go sideways too, I suppose. Alan Watts once said, I was listening to an old interview that he did, and he was talking about the capability, and this was back in the 70s, where they were saying, scientists were saying, we have the capability. Yeah, right. We have the capability to produce any type of human we want. We can produce scientists, poets, highly virtuous people. And Alan Watts, his view was, for heaven's sakes, don't do that. Can you imagine what the world would be like if we had nothing but virtuous people? Alan Watts. So anyway, but here's a virtue worth. Oh, is Canada boring? Yeah, I suppose it's never boring here on the old Barrier Island for me. I've got to say, and I just in terms of contentedness, gratitude. Oh, only virtuous people will be boring. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't imagine Canada being boring. I wouldn't be bored for a minute in Canada, I'll guarantee it. I would actually, go see Jim Suburban Farmer. You ever watch that guy's channel? It's epic. I would find so many cool things to do. But yeah, virtuous people would be boring beyond toleration. Nonstop, everybody being virtuous. And he actually referred to that as the irreducible element of rascality, that if you were to remove. Yeah, exactly. I'm like that too. Yeah, tons of hobbies. Yeah, tons of interests. But if you were to remove the rascality from people, if you were to remove that, it would be like having a soup with no salt. You would remove the very essence of it. It would be intolerable, and there would be no fun in doing that. So embrace the irreducible level of rascality you possess is Good advice from good old Alan. Rest his soul. But yeah, I have tons of hobbies too. And that's the thing. I started to get in a thing where I was doing like one YouTube channel for every hobby, which becomes kind of interesting. And, you know, because you don't want them all to like overlap in one place, because people might be coming for, to your one interest for how do I grow a dwarf Cavendish banana tree? And then next thing you know, they're getting Alan Watts. Like, who's this guy? What's this about? So anyway, yeah, I'm stoked on the backyard situation. So let's dive right into it. Let's get to the important part of the video. Oh man, talk about contrasting color. This never gets old. Song of India, the Dracaena, just love it. You know, the edibles, the pragmatic stuff of having the edibles is so cool. But nothing edible about this Croton, but it's just incredible as a plant. And there's so many things like this in the backyard, but look at this, for instance, variability in the leaves. Look at the variability in the leaves. Okay. Some long, some short and round, right? And then some go full oak leaf. What? Full oak leaf. Oh, you see that cut on my hand? By the way, it's healed. No, sorry, it probably looks kind of gnarly, but it's healed over. It's just kind of not suntanned like the rest of my hand. That's from, we spend so much time tumbling around in the shore pound, now my son and daughter and I, that, and there's rocks in the ocean here, right at the end of my street, so I'm constantly getting jammed into rocks, and they take little bites out of you, and they take so long to heal. If you don't get, because there's bad bacteria on those rocks, if you don't get hydrogen peroxide on that cut right away, it'll take like a month to heal, and then it produces this big scar, which we call in our house badge of pride. All right, look at that. Look at that leaf. What? Yeah, just decided to do that, and then others will kind of decide to do other things. It's just, some of them do this thing, where they grow a little. Really cool. And this year I successfully grew these from the seeds, which is a really cool level up. They get these little seeds, actually really easy to grow from seeds. Who would have thought? Hey, Stiglman Family Farm. Good to have you on the stream. It's awesome. And you might not be a Buccaneers fan, but you know, I am. All right. The football thing has been like a family fun activity for us for so many years. Oh, you look at you, ladies. Look at you, sweeties. I'll tell you what, you're being nice and quiet this morning, and I really appreciate that, because when, oh, by the way, this is something I do. I talk to chickens. Because when you, oh, what was that all about? When you have a cackle, when you have a cackle fest in the morning on the weekends, I worry our neighbors will become irritated. At the same time, yeah, exactly. You talk to your plants too, Brampton Gardner. Yeah. And you level it up to a whole different level when you're actually doing it on the internet live. All right, here we go. I think they'd want what's in this cup. Oh, did you see that? Oh, she got the peck. I'll tell you what, you barred rocks are asserting yourself in the pecking order now. Proud of you. Stick up for yourself. They're bigger, yet they were more subservient. All right, here we are. Where are all the chickies? I'm going in. I really want them. Yeah, exactly. It's okay if you talk to a dog. Of course, everybody does that. All right. Although dogs can't lay eggs yet. I would love to have a retriever again. You gonna peck at my toes? Nope. No. Why would they peck at toes when they can? Oh, look at this. Look at how. Woo! Woo! Chicken tricks. Woo! Yeah. They get so excited. This is a way to get chickens to go anywhere you want them. Okay, I'm back. I just walked outside of my reception area. You know what that means? It's time for a chicken party. Come on. Come on. Don't miss out. Don't miss out. That's it. Okay. Come on, sweet little girls. Let's go. This is their pasture area. Yay. If you look at videos of this area a month ago, holy moly. Ah, they tipped it over. Okay, here we go. This way. This way they can search all through. Come on, chick, chick. That's good. So I've got them in 2 areas, which is helpful. The thing I'm trying to avoid is having these chickens fight over food. They always get a little pecky towards the end. So this is good. This gives them the high nutrients. Backed up. Just got out of range. Now, thriving green spot. And it's a cool place to get the hens out of the coop and get them into eating some vegetables. They love it when they come back here. They just do almost nothing but pick at the grass and eat it and eat all the seeds from all the different wild plants. I've done nothing here other than feed it bunny manure, and chickens have manured it as they go through it, and it's thriving. I mean, it's got so much nutrients now that I just think it's got no choice but to grow. It almost is storing the water in there just because it's so dense in its growth. It's really cool to see abundance at that level. And by the way, that leads me to another thought I wanted to express in this live stream, which is that I think I'm going to make some t-shirts. Much like a tattoo. T-shirt's like a form of temporary tattoo. In that, and I don't have any tattoos. I don't plan to get a tattoo. But I always thought, like, if you were going to get a tattoo, how could you possibly decide what to tattoo? I mean, I can hardly think of a thing that I didn't think once and then later think a little different about it as time goes on. I mean, if you tattoo a thing and then change your mind. Well, when I was in college, actually, I had a close friend who had a tattoo he got in high school, and then he really didn't like that tattoo, what it said. And so he had to have it removed. And watching him go through the tattoo removal process was horrible for him, because he just did, wow, it really sucked. It was a big tattoo. He had it removed. Oh, if you can imagine. So, but t-shirts, in a way, you're tattooing an idea on you for a day or for an afternoon or for whatever when you put a t-shirt on. So I do take it seriously, and therefore, what would you put on an Eat Your Backyard t-shirt? That's been my question. What is there? And then I think of a thing and I run it through my mind and I go, that's really dumb. Yeah, or it turns out to be like, oh, you're trying to be clever, and that, no. If it looks like you're trying in the message, it just, to me, it's so not zen, so not just a natural flow of how to go. So what is it? What is the message? And all the messages I ran through my system of discernment sounded really bordered on stupid in my final judgment of them. So I couldn't commit, and it was like, there's no way I'm going to put something that I really got a hunch is not that great on a thing. But yeah, so then puns. Good point, Brampton Gardner. Yeah, puns. You fall back to puns, and as a dad, I am Puntronic 2021, ready to go anytime. I'm going to have pun all night long. I live and die on the hill of puns. But I don't know if I want a pun t-shirt. To me is like, I don't know. I could probably go there. It does actually pass the first gate, which is like the just internal gut feeling I get when I consider it. So maybe that's in the running, certainly. Yeah, I think you're onto something. But what I finally realized was what I put in one of my the two last longer videos that I put out, I switched to a new video editor, which I love, by the way. Yeah, Brampton Gardner and others who probably are, intimately working with video editors software. I had all kinds of video editing software over the years. My favorite of all time was just the good old Microsoft Movie Maker of old. The old one. That was so simple. Long story short, they stopped working for various reasons. They stopped being supported. They whatever, movie files change, the type of files you're producing change, all that. So boring. But finding the perfect movie video editor is like a major thing in my life because I love making videos. You know, I make these Eat Your Backyard videos all the time. I've enjoyed it. I continue to enjoy it, so I'm going to keep doing it. I also make a lot of surfing music videos, which is really one of my favorite things to do. I love the feeling that gives me to make it. It's very artistic. Yeah, I know. All these video editors are so complicated. It's like you need a PhD in computer science to run them. It's ridiculous. Just like, you know, I get it, and I get the complexity of it, but it's, as someone who can write software, I can tell you that it's possible to write things that they're not so obtuse. And it's a user interface that basically just sucks in my final analysis. All right, so I finally found one that I couldn't believe how well it worked for my current circumstances. When I bought this phone, I'm reading your comment. When I bought this phone, it's the iPhone 12 Pro, not the Pro Max. You know, I decided to spend a little more. This phone has been, you know, next level incredible. I've had Androids my whole life, and not my whole life, you know, since phones were invented. I used to actually have to go use a telephone on a wire. But before we had our robot co-pilot on board. But yeah, the point is, it's an incredible phone. It produces MOV files, .mov files. And it turns out Movie Maker 17, whatever, the one I had, Sony Movie Maker 17, would not accept iPhone files. So, good riddance though, because that thing was a turd beyond turds. I mean, it was just a horrible. I don't want to go too far, but I didn't enjoy using that. So, long story short, this, that, the other, tried all kinds of things. Movavi, Movavi, Movavi. Looks like they do a lot of affiliate marketing stuff too, because I see a lot of people, you know, talking about it that they were sent the thing and they have a discount code, so they do that whole thing. But yeah, I spent like $80 on Movavi, and holy mackerel, you can put videos in it and actually be able to, you know, play them back as you're testing to see what it will look like, and it plays back quickly. It doesn't take forever to ingest stuff. Everything just kind of has worked. And then it has all kinds of cool stuff that you can do, effects and things, but the way you get to them is really, really simple and easy to understand. So can't believe it. That was a major game changer. It makes me want to go make videos all the time, which if you look at the 2 last videos I made, that's an example of that. I really had fun making those. You know, when you know that the quality of video is going to be cool, and it has a much greater chance of helping somebody or having the effect I'm intending here, which is to kind of move out the message of permaculture more widely and connecting to communities of abundance. So anyway, Movavi. I love me some Movavi. And Movavi videos are going to be coming out much more. I'm even considering a few new things as falls. And besides the T-shirt, which I think will, by the way, to close that loop, will say abundance realized. Abundance realized. I like that. Probably some other person has that saying, but it doesn't really matter. I just like that idea. I had it in some of my recent videos. You could see it. And that would probably be the T-shirt. It's like a diamond with a couple arrows, you know, which is really close to the idea of Earl Nightingale. By the way, if you know Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale? Is that his name? Earl? I believe it's Earl Nightingale. Anyways, a motivational speaker from back in the 60s. I might be mistaking him with... But he had this talk he did called Field of Diamonds, which was, the assertion was, it was about this, the story was, let's do story time. Story time with the chickens. Let's let a chicken free. Who's the lucky chicken? Who is it? 1? 2. Okay, just 2. Story time with the chickens. Yeah, so there was this guy, and he lived at the base of a mountain, and people were traveling to the mountain to mine for gold or diamonds in the mountain. And yeah, so he had this farm, and he wasn't making much money from the farm. And he kept seeing all these people going up there, and some of them getting diamonds. And he thought, wow. So he sold his farm and went up to the mountains and mined for diamonds, and didn't really find many. Came back to the field and was looking down in disgust, looked down, and underneath his feet were diamonds. Hence, the whole circular ambulatory vector of his life to go explore want was really lack, and the abundance was under his feet the entire time. So that story I like a lot. That's in the collection. It's something I believe in. And by the way, I was privy to what the root of the word belief actually is. And did you know that the root of the word, what belief actually its origins is? The origin is that leaf, is actually means hope. And belief means, really hard hope. Essentially, to believe is to hope really hard. And it's interesting to think of it that way. So you're going to choose what, we're all going to have beliefs. But I like this idea that, it is hoping really hard, but you get to choose what you hope really hard in. And, it's easy to hope really hard in things that seem intrinsically evident, which is that there is abundance everywhere. And with a few simple steps, making the right sacrifices, the right choices, the right steps, you can ease yourself right into a system of there's probably diamonds right under your feet. Well, there are. Certainly. These little hens are diamonds under my feet. Welcome aboard, folks. Just after all that nice compliment I paid you, this is how you return the favor? Can you please not be too loud? Okay. It's interesting how that was a cackle fest. That was a cackle fest getting ready to start. Now, you can imagine that's not super charming to the neighbory, but I don't know. It's definitely a chicken. A few people are going to mistake that. Oh, look at you. And, you might try to understand what a chicken's thinking. That's another thing I'm sure people have been doing forever. And you could probably sum it up to not much. Yeah, well, I'd claim you can make a diamond out of just about what's under your feet if you try to figure it out. You got to figure out, observe and interact. Like you say, that permaculture principle, but observe and interact. And we don't mean literal diamonds, of course. We mean things which have a lot of value. And which could have very little to do with money for you. But you know what? One thing I never heard anybody say? I want to be broke forever. That chicken just let out some noise. I said, yeah, I want to be broke forever. So nobody wants to be broke forever, right? We don't want to be in a state of lack. And I'll tell you, if anything else, having a little system like this. Oh no, you got clay soil. Yuck. Well, there is always container gardening, and there is always artificial mediums. That's one way to go. Most people around here, my opinion is they kind of give up on gardening, and I've just seen it so many times. I actually have a cool new neighbor that moved in recently, and I gave him some fruit trees, and he saw my fig tree, and wow, I want to grow stuff here. He was from California. I said, oh yeah. And I gave him a thing, and he came back. He goes, man, they all died. Now this is a yard just a couple of yards down from here. Everything died. And it's like, why? I go, well, is it in the spring? Does it get sprinkler water on it? Oh yeah, it's right in where it gets sprinkler all the time. I said, oh yeah, they don't. the salt kills things. So I think most people, they'll try in this particular area, they'll try it and come up against that formidable foe, which is salt, right? What did the Romans do to their enemies? They salted the fields to destroy its ability to grow food. Yeah, have a good one, Brampton Gardener. Stoked you were on the live stream. Hope to see you back. I'll go check out that berry video here after this. But the salt, and you know, then they get to the point where the salt is you know, a factor and don't realize that's the factor. And it just seems like it's not possible to grow things. It just seems like it's almost impossible, right? But, you know, there is a way to get around that significant factor. And I kind of demonstrated here. You just got to realize it. And so there's, like Brampton Gardner was saying, yeah, maybe the clay, the nutrients in the clay, that's pretty cool. I've never thought about that. Yeah. How does that fit into the system you got to put together? It's a really cool challenge. One thing I think when I think of clay is like, one of your most beautiful gardens planted in amended clay. Wow. I would be very interested in, you know, the water holding capability of clay. Like, could you have a small pond? Could you get the aquaponics thing? Is that a realistic thing to be able to do without maybe tarps and all that kind of, not tarps, but plastic liners and things like that? Yeah, I wonder what benefits that would give here. You could pour 100 gallons of water into this spot and it'll be gone in no time. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you got to know your environment. Like, right, Camel, like French Polynesia, it's really salty, yet it thrives. Yeah, and in fact, that's such a great point. Many of the things which would, oh no. Oh God. Uh-oh. All right. Listen. Seems like a drastic decision. Just go lay that egg. Keep the noise to a minimum. But yeah, many of the things that would grow well there grow well here. Papaya, banana, etc. Yep. Absolutely. And you get them to a certain spot, you know, even if whatever comes beats them back down, a big wind rain event filled with salt. It, generally speaking, I was going to go get some eggs, but it's too far from the Wi-Fi area to risk it. I'll get them later. Here's another thing. If you have any ideas related to this, we've got several people in live stream now, which is really cool. If you have any ideas as to what to put here for signs, I would really be interested in hearing your ideas. I think I'm going to put something that says EYBY on it or Eat Your Backyard, but I've got a friend who's very good with wood. He's going to make me the signs in exchange for some eggs, another permaculture network setup. And I think I'm going to put a sign here between this span, which is intended for a sign. I'll put one there, and I think I'm going to put something here. And oh, by the way, just anticipating things to come in the old system here, we're going to make some changes. This area needs ventilation much more than it has. Even though these are spaced out, I thought it was going to be much more cool. I'm going to cut a window, I think, in some way. Maybe 2 small windows. I don't know what exactly, but I think I'm going to open this up, and I'm also going to do some cool things here. I'm going to open it up again. I thought this would be plenty of, but it blocks this. The bunnies are too hot. So I'm going to remove this whole area here, keep the bottom, and I'm going to put chicken wire across. And then I plan to put a little door here that I can just raise up this and allow the chickens to go in and out through this hole here. Maybe even I'll let the bunnies hop around here, but probably not, because there's a gap here and those bunnies will dig out. Oh, I love the Polynesian. Yeah, I should go Polynesian style design. I love that idea. You know my favorite hotel at Disney World? The Polynesian. The volcano water slide. Yeah, here are the 2 blackberries that I recently purchased. They look pretty good. Ivanhoe. No, sorry, Osage. Osage. I don't know where Ivanhoe came from, but Osage blackberries. Good addition. You know, one step at a time. The interesting thing is when I when I put in this fence, it created an edge space. You know, permaculture principle, utilize edge spaces. And now I'm starting to fill in that edge spaces. But as you put in more structure and so on into your system, it creates more edge spaces that you can then utilize. But, you know, I had to find the right time to do it. Yeah, so another thing I'm thinking of doing is potentially writing a book. Thought maybe I'd do that. And starting a website for Eat Your Backyard. That's another idea that I've recently had. So I might do that. You know, I like to change it a lot. If you watch the channel over the years, you know that it's kind of an ongoing experimentation and kind of stream of consciousness follows what I've been doing. And certainly at a high evolution of the whole system coming together now. It's almost to the point where that northern end of my yard has got enough vegetation to grow over the chicken coop now. Everything coming together. I think that Cheremoya tree is going to be a huge challenge to know where to put it in this backyard setup for sure. It is important to us that we have this pathway, that we have this, you know, grassy corridor. I like the look of that. I like the feel of that. It's functionally good for us, the whole nine. It also opens up a corridor of sunlight that reaches all the plants. So to me, that is really important. You'll see a lot of food forests that people do, and this is something I would caution against, which is for it to become a dense canopy, a high level canopy that just blocks, shades out everything. Without the sun, you're not going to get what you want. So to manage the sun, you know, I talk about it all the time, but to manage the sun and really allow it to do its thing, it takes a decent amount of trimming. When you have the permaculture setup, though, as you trim it, that is an absolute harvest. So I took out these two branches, and that does look like it could be a good chicken roost. You just lay them on the ground, the chickens will roost up on the big branches. They love it. So yeah, I think that's going to be a candidate for that. But yeah, all these leaves I'm going to break down and be perfect mulch for the chicken run. I think I'm going to put these all back in the chicken run. We did a layer of mango leaves like you wouldn't believe back there, and that was good. And then I did a layer of sea grape leaves, which are a little slower to break down, but if you look at what these hens can do, they're compost machines. One of the areas I haven't really begun to conceptualize too much, but that certainly will be a benefit moving forward, is utilizing the compost that's being made back here and turning it over, going back in there and turning it over. Been watching the Edible Acres channel, which I love, by the way, and the chicken techniques that he and his wife use, and really inspirational stuff. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is I need to buy a pitchfork. I don't have a proper pitchfork. I mean, you know, if you've reached the point in your life where you're like, dude, need a pitchfork in my life. Seriously, like, functionally require a pitchfork to continue to be successful. I believe you're in the right place. I think if you don't require a pitchfork, you know, what are you really doing? Uh-oh, cackle fest. Not gonna let those hens cackle fest to Sunday morning. There's no way. I'm gonna prevent it. I'll be a force of good in this neighborhood. You see how easy it is to stop the cackle fest? Just gotta get in there, kind of get some proximity. Maybe you put your hand on their back just very lightly, and they seem, uh-oh. But when they're laying eggs, I mean, they're laying eggs. Oh, I didn't put these hens back in. Hey, henny. Oh, I left the door open. That makes sense. Now let's go back in. Yeah. That's a classic. Oh, Chuck. Chuck Ozanoff, thanks for joining the stream. I appreciate it. Yeah, compost is gold. It is gold. What could have more value than something that is going to allow you to produce food? There's something that has more value. We're going to take a look at the compost gold, but you know, even better. This, oh, I can't wait. This is like Christmas came early. I'm going to hit my new banana grove with all these rabbit turds and all this worm tea. Put some sweet wood chips down on it. And you see, having practical areas like this in my yard is something that's been an add conceptually to how I do stuff. Just having an area where it's like, no, that's where I go lay stuff, you know, for it to decay. And yep, snakes get in there, probably rodents get in there, whatever. Point is, over time, all the leaves just kind of fall off. Harvest the branches, harvest the leaves, and make the magic happen. But here are my compost bins. Still thinking about going for a third one. It's time to be turned over. Really, it's time. It's been just condensing now for close to almost a year. Maybe a little less than that. It's so hard for me to keep track of time. But the point is that time to turn it over and see kind of where we're at. But this is a tremendous amount of value here that I've been building up. You can see the layers of like chicken bedding and oak leaves and mango leaves, and yeah, just the bottom is just full of oak leaves. It's going to be a fairly acidic compost, I'm sure. I may do a little testing of it as I reveal it, but the first thing I want to do is turn it over and maybe infuse it with even some more wood chips to get the carbon up. Make sure we don't have any gooiness, so to speak. But yeah, that compost is going to be gold. And look at this Persian mulberry I planted here is a cutting. Actually did pretty well, staked it up. It survived its first caterpillar attack, proud of it. We fed all those it was a caterpillar invasion, but we won. We picked them all off and fed them alive to the chickens. But that thing is looking tip-top shape, and I imagine it's benefiting from this nutrient situation, but it's probably also benefiting from the rabbit manure I put on it all the time. Look at this moringa growing in almost total shade. It's very light sun. It's kind of good to know. Yep, today I'll commit to planting that Cheremoya tree, get those blackberries in the ground, and we should be in a good situation. I've got more sugarcane patch to grow. I recently added a sugarcane patch to the side of the yard with some red and green sugarcane. I'm going to make that stuff available on eBay, on my eBay store, if you're interested. It won't be ready for at least a couple months probably, but I might do some early runs of it. Also thinking of, doing some giveaways. Easy to do a giveaway, giveaway cuttings and things like that. So I may do that. Who is that? Is that Treasure Outdoors? Hey, Treasure Outdoors, good to see you, man. Yeah, exactly. Start the day, the big day. We do need stuff like this to start the day. Like, kind of get set. Where are we going? Where are we at? What's happening right now, right here? Yeah, your setup looks like it's primed to have a full-on sugarcane setup. That's for sure. And by the way, I like the stuff you're doing with the contests and so on your channel. Really cool. It's so interesting, the videos on your channel, because it's like following an adventure to find stuff. I've found all kinds of stuff in my backyard. I'd be wondering what else I'd find if I had a metal detector. Yeah, I'm not so sure about the pineapple over the winter outside. I think I might bring that one in, but they're pretty resilient. Well, okay, I hope you have a great day. I'm going to go down and swim in the ocean, laugh like a pirate, plant way too many fruit trees, and hope it all goes okay. I hope you do the same or something similar. I appreciate everybody jumping on the stream. Certainly it was fun, memorable, and please stay tuned for the upcoming videos using my new little video editor, Movavi, which I'm very pleased with for all you YouTube content creators. So far, so good. You know what a relief it is to finally find something that works reliably. Have a great day. Abundance, may it follow you in your every footstep.